The sound of shattering glass echoed through the quiet night as a single, desperate scream pierced the air. A man, worn and tired, sprinted across a dimly lit courtyard, his heart pounding not just from fear, but from the knowledge that in the next few seconds, a life could be lost, someone he didn't even know, yet already cared for as if she were his own. In a flash, a bullet tore through the air, striking him squarely in the chest. Pain exploded across his body, but even as he fell to the cold concrete, his only thought was that she had to live. He had no hesitation. He had no second thoughts. He had chosen her life over his own. This was the moment that would define him forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet heroism of ordinary people, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to Lonely Dad's Strong Heart, because stories like this deserve to be remembered. His name was Imran, a single dad in his late 30s, living in a cramped apartment on the outskirts of the city. Life hadn't been kind to him. A bitter divorce had left him alone with his 8-year-old son, Sammy, and a lifetime of responsibilities that never seemed to end. By day, he worked as a security guard, and by night, he struggled to make ends meet. Every waking hour was consumed with bills, schoolwork, and the delicate balance of keeping his small family afloat. Yet, despite the exhaustion, there was an unshakable core within him, a heart that refused to harden, a belief that protecting others, even strangers, was a debt he had to pay to the world. It was this unbreakable instinct that had led him to the high-rise office of a wealthy CEO that evening. Imran wasn't supposed to be there. He had been called in at the last minute to fill in for a security guard who had called in sick. But fate has a strange way of weaving its threads. The CEO's daughter, Alina, was a young woman of 23, intelligent and compassionate but unaware of the dangers lurking around her. That night, she was leaving work late, oblivious to the dark figure following her down the empty street. Imran had spotted the shadow long before she did. Something in his gut screamed at him, a warning, a premonition, and he had moved into position, keeping just enough distance to watch, unnoticed, as the threat approached. The man chasing her was not random. He had a gun, a cruel smile, and a plan that could shatter lives in a heartbeat. Imran knew this from the moment he saw the cold determination in the attacker's eyes. And in that split second, as Alina's heels clicked on the pavement and her breaths quickened in fear, Imran made a decision that would define his soul. He stepped forward without hesitation, placing himself directly in the path between her and the danger. The first shot rang out, and the world slowed. Pain tore through his chest, but adrenaline pushed him forward. He didn't stumble. He didn't cry out. He just fell, protecting her, a wall of flesh and willpower. Alina screamed, her eyes wide with terror and confusion, as the attacker fled into the night. And there, on the cold asphalt, Imran clutched his chest, blood seeping through his fingers, yet the relief in his eyes was unmistakable. She was alive. It was in the hospital, under the harsh white lights and the endless beeping of machines, that the weight of the moment truly hit him. Doctors said he was lucky to be alive, that the bullet had missed his heart by millimeters, and that he would recover with time. But Imran knew he had been alive in that instant only because he had chosen someone else's life over his own. That choice, that simple act of courage, would ripple through the lives of everyone involved. Alina, once scared and uncertain, had now found herself overwhelmed with gratitude and admiration. She had seen real courage, not the kind born of wealth or power, but the kind forged in hardship and sacrifice. And Imran, battered but unbroken, carried with him the quiet satisfaction of knowing that his life, his struggles, his pain, had all been worth something extraordinary. Life did not slow for Imran after that night. He returned to his small apartment with Sammy, who had no idea what his father had done. The routine was the same, work, homework, dinner, but something had shifted. There was a silent pride in Imran's eyes, a newfound sense of purpose that even exhaustion could not erase. He was not just surviving anymore. He was protecting. He was saving. And, in his own way, he was teaching his son the most important lesson a parent could give: that courage and kindness are measured not in words but in the sacrifices we make for others. The CEO, deeply moved by what had happened, insisted on rewarding Imran, but he refused anything beyond a simple thank you. Money had never mattered to him. What mattered was the knowledge that a life had been spared because he had been willing to step forward. But even as he declined material reward, the bond that formed between him and Alina was undeniable. She saw not just a protector, but a man who carried the weight of the world on his shoulders, yet still found room to care. She saw a hero, humble and human, whose love for his own child had naturally extended to anyone in need. Weeks turned into months, and Imran's wounds healed, but the memory of that night never faded. He would lie awake sometimes, thinking about the fragility of life, the randomness of fate, and the strange, beautiful way courage manifests in ordinary people. Alina, now safe, had become a friend, even a mentor in small ways, helping Imran navigate opportunities he had never imagined. Yet nothing changed the core truth. He remained a single father, devoted to his son, and quietly proud of the life he had built, one sacrifice at a time. Imran's story began to ripple beyond his immediate circle. People started noticing the quiet hero in their midst, the man who had risked everything without expecting anything in return. Neighbors, co-workers, and even strangers spoke of him with reverence. Yet, despite the attention, he never allowed it to change him. Fame was fleeting, character was eternal. He continued to work his shifts, prepare Sammy's meals, and navigate the small joys and challenges of everyday life. But now, there was a new layer, a deeper connection to the world, a reminder that even the smallest acts of bravery can leave a lasting mark. The real magic, however, was in the transformation of those around him. Sammy began to understand courage not as a word, but as a living example in his father's actions. Alina became more compassionate, more determined to use her privilege for good, inspired by the man who had put his life on the line for someone he barely knew. And the world, in its own small ways, started to recognize the quiet power of sacrifice, empathy, and the choice to act, even when fear is overwhelming. Imran knew the path ahead would not be easy. Life for a single father never is. There would be bills, setbacks, heartbreaks, and moments of doubt. But he also knew this: courage is contagious. Kindness, when given without expectation, creates ripples that can alter lives. And sometimes, all it takes is a single decision, a single step forward, a single choice to act, to change the trajectory of another person's life forever. As years passed, the memory of that night never faded. Imran and Sammy would sometimes walk past the high-rise where it happened, a silent acknowledgement passing between them. Imran would squeeze his son's shoulder, a gesture full of unspoken lessons about bravery, love, and the quiet power of doing the right thing when it mattered most. And in those moments, Sammy understood: heroism doesn't require a cape or recognition. It requires a heart willing to act, even at great personal cost. If this story touched your heart, if you felt the courage, the love, and the sacrifice, please engage with this video, like, comment, and share. Let the world know that ordinary people are capable of extraordinary bravery. Before you leave, I want you to take a moment and comment below: who in your life deserves a silent thank you for their everyday heroism? Think about the people whose sacrifices go unnoticed, and honor them in words. Imran's life remained simple, but it was rich with meaning. The bullet that had struck him was not just a wound, it was a reminder of the power one person has to protect, to care, and to inspire. And as he watched Sammy grow, learning compassion, courage, and resilience, he knew that the greatest victories are often the ones that never make the headlines. A single dad, battered but unbroken, had shown that even in a world filled with challenges, love and sacrifice could shine brighter than any danger or fear. The night may have been filled with fear and violence, but in the end, a life was saved, a family strengthened, and a legacy of quiet heroism was born. And that, in the end, was worth every heartbeat, every struggle, every sacrifice. This story is written to be cinematic, emotional, and engaging, perfect for a 15 to 18-minute YouTube video with strong viewer engagement cues. If you want, I can also create a slightly edited version tailored for narration, with pacing cues, dramatic pauses, and suspense triggers to make it perfect for YouTube storytelling audio. This version would naturally hit emotional beats for viewers.